Graham, how difficult is it for a victim or even a bystander who witnesses this to actually come forward and report it? I'm sure that's one of the challenges, especially as a victim, you're afraid things are going to get worse if you say something.
Right. There's multiple sides to that. Again, just to go off what these two gentlemen already said, there are quite a number of the bystanders that are afraid to say anything because they're afraid of retribution from those people, that they'll come after me next. And if I go along with people, there's also kind of a power element, that these people are in power, and if I go with them, then I'm part of the power as well. So there's that aspect of it. I put together a whole sheet that I pass out to schools saying, what's the least you can do? And I always say, the least you can do is not join in. That's the least you can do. If you want to do a little more, then go, even if it's just writing an anonymous note and giving it to a counselor or a principal or somebody, sneak it in somewhere. This person is being bullied, this person's being abused, I'm worried about their safety, I'm too afraid to do anything about it myself, and I'm looking for the adults to help. So that's something that we try to instill in the youth and the people that I talk to in working that issue out.
Jennifer, I know when a bullying incident happens, a lot of times focus goes to the school. Why didn't they protect this child? There's a lot of blame laid. So when developing your strategies to try and prevent bullying and take care of it when it does happen, what are your challenges, and how do you lay that out so that a school is safe for kids?
The challenges that we face are with the students themselves that are coming from families and coming from homes where bullying is accepted. That's the issue. They're coming with these preconceived notions that what I'm doing is not wrong. So it's our job to teach them, to educate them that there is a right way and there is a wrong way. And so what we've been telling our children, don't be a bystander to bullying. Be an upstander. Be someone that's going to stand up for what is right. And one of our culture imperatives is to have that courage to do so. But we know in the real life world, our children sometimes are afraid. So the strategies that we have, that we teach our principals, that we teach our educators, the teachers, be aware, number one. Be aware that there may be a problem. Don't think anything is insignificant to a child. Even those that seem like they are forward and they're extroverted, they may be one being bullied and trying to hide it. A lot of times what I've found in my 24 years of it in the business of educating children is that a lot of times our children won't speak up because they're afraid of what others may think. So you have to have a safe place. You have to have that forum. You have to build, teachers know that they need to build a community environment that is safe and inviting and welcoming. And they set out the procedures, they set out the protocols, what's expected in my classroom. And even it goes on up the chain that principals explain to the students what we accept here, what's not acceptable here. It's all about being proactive versus being reactive. And yes, there are times when we have to react to the situation and we have to follow the protocols. We need to talk with the child. It starts in the classroom. It absolutely starts in the classroom and it moves on up.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that a lot of times this happens when parents think it's okay and it's passed along to kids. And I know some parents do say, you know what, bullying's a part of life. It happened when I was a kid. Kids just need to buck up and deal with it. How do you combat that when it's coming from the home?
I'm reminded of a situation that I had an opportunity to observe. It was my wife was a guidance counselor for several years in an elementary school, and in this particular situation, they were trying to deal with a young man, I think a fifth grader, who was a bully. And not only bullied other children, but he was bullying his teacher. And they called his parents in, who proceeded to absolutely browbeat and push around this teacher and threaten her, and then went down and threatened the principal of the school and threatened this assistant superintendent to the point where they had to be escorted out of the building. That's probably a somewhat extreme case where it was pretty clear where the child learned to be a bully. And it turns out the parents were excellent bullies themselves and had taught their child well. I think it's difficult because schools can work much more easily with children than they can with parents, because parents have to cooperate with the contact, and parents are better able to resist the school's interventions, and obviously schools are more limited in what they can get a parent to do. But I think your point is well taken. The developing a culture of nonviolence, which includes no bullying, is one that doesn't just, it's not done in just one school or it doesn't start at a particular grade level. It starts in preschool. And parents from the beginning, what we can do as educators is promote that climate of peace in every grade level beginning in preschool, and make that clear to parents in writing and in any way that we can do that this is the culture that we have chosen to have. And your family may not consider a particular behavior bullying, but we in the school community do.
When we're talking about cyberbullying, obviously it's an increased area. How do you recommend, Ross, that schools and parents go about setting up parameters for social media, specifics, so that that doesn't happen, and consequences if it does?
Sure. I think the key, when it comes, at least for parents, in terms of monitoring online activity and usage, is be involved, monitor as much as possible, and pry into what they're doing, ask who they're talking to and who they're communicating with. It's one of those areas that's the internet's a great tool, but it is fraught with all sorts of elements that are not positive for young children or students. And we encourage parents, because we do give discussions for parents as well, we encourage them to do everything they can to make sure that they're monitoring that. When we speak to students at schools, there's a number of different things that we discuss. Number one, we like to let them know that what they do can have criminal implications, be it harassment or intimidation. These are things that can result in criminal liability. And I think a lot of students are surprised to hear that. The harassment statute is very broad. It can be something as simple as sending text messages that contain profanity at another student. And a lot of students are surprised to hear that. And I think educating the students about responsible use of the internet and responsible communications with others is one of the keys. So our goal, at least from the prosecutor's office, our standpoint is to not only educate the students, but to work with the schools to come up with positive methods, positive programs to try to help educate the students and control those kinds of situations. The last thing we want to do, obviously, is to make it a criminal matter, but if that's what happens, and that's the level that it has to go to, then our office is ready to do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. When we're talking about an incident, let's say it happened, son or daughter comes home from school, the parent is aware, they're doing what you said, they notice something's wrong, get it out of the child, yeah, something's happening at school. Now a lot of parents are like, what do I do now? I'm scared, I don't want something more to happen to my child. Where do I go? From the school perspective, and just as a parent with that victim, what do you do with that?
Well, what we do when we have that incident, because there are a lot of times I'll get calls from parents letting me know, and the first thing I'll ask them is, have you talked to the teacher, your child's teacher? And they may say no, because they're afraid of retribution. So I will talk to the parent, and I will actually go out, and not just me, but the other directors, we'll go out and we'll visit the classroom just to see the dynamics, because we don't want any child pinpointed out. In fact, I don't even tell the parent well, I tell the parent, but I tell the parent, don't tell your child that someone is going to visit the classroom, that kind of thing, just to see the dynamics, because I want to see for myself what's actually happening in that classroom. What are the dynamics? What's the relationship between the teacher and the students and students? And a lot of times, I'm able to get that child who may be the child that's being bullied, the child that's being the bullier, to talk to that child and talk to them. But you know, it really starts with effective communication with the children, because a lot of times our students don't even realize that they are being bullied, that they're being a bully. They think that's acceptable behaviors. And so it's about educating those students. So it's kind of like, it was a case in point last night. I was eating dinner, and I saw a family to the left, and I was paying attention because there were two small children, and the parents were like, they got the food, and the parent snatched the child's food. And the child just looked at him like, what are you doing? And I was like, wow, this is a mean parent. I was just observing. But anyway, to make a long story short, the parent was trying to teach their child a lesson, because evidently that same day, the child was being a bully at school and snatching kids' lunch. And so the parent was making a point of, that doesn't feel too good, does it? You don't like that I'm snatching from you. So why did you choose to do that in school today? I thought, wow, that is so powerful as a parent, because the child finally realized, and he said, it was like a 7-year-old, I don't like it, and what I did was wrong. So my point is saying parents are they're in a position that they can be so powerful in their child's life, helping them to make the right decisions. But when parents choose not to do so, it is the job of the schools to make sure that we teach the child right from wrong. This is acceptable behavior. This is unacceptable behavior. This is why these are the consequences. Children need to know the parameters that are there for them. They need to know that there are expectations that we expect in the schools that will be tolerated, and some that will never be tolerated. And bullying is one of those things that you cannot expect a child to come to school and be an effective student if they're being bullied or if they're actually being the bully.
Mm-hmm. I think when a bullying victim is targeted because of sexual orientation, there presents even more special challenges. And I would imagine, unfortunately, we've reported a lot of times it often leads to suicide. And there's an even more lonely feeling, because they sometimes feel they can't even report it to their parents, because the parents aren't even aware that they're questioning their sexual orientation. So what are the special challenges there, and how do you get to those victims when they often can't talk to anyone, they feel?
Well, that's one of the things we're trying to work on with the schools, is creating, separate, having just a little sign in the teacher's window of the door saying that this is a safe place. Even if I'm not your teacher, this is somewhere safe that you can come and talk to me. And to also talk to the teachers that